in post-colonial era. And when Professor Krishna was talking with me and asking about the topic which I am going to articulate, immediately my response was on foreign policy. And since my area of specialization circumvents around international relations and the United Nations organization, in which India played a major and constructive role in peacekeeping operations in and around the world. So immediately, and Professor Krishna was giving me suggestions related to the topic of fiscal policies or social security, welfare policies, and a number of umpteen number of policies related with the people's welfare and post-colonial era of independence. And definitely, I was in a position to focus upon foreign policy of India since most of the experts, research persons, professors, they do concentrate in research activity related with their own state government and politics, related maybe law, related with constitutional studies, village administration, national administration,
Yes, madam.
local
Yeah.
administration,
Yes.
panchayat administration, so on and so forth. So I thought of focusing upon this topic and coming the business of my topic, that is evolution, how the foreign policy of India was evolved throughout different types of leadership, different types of prime ministers of India, and albeit of having the foreign minister. And certainly, every nation is having its own foreign policy as like a constitution of every nation. So foreign policy is a document which, which I think some disturbance, kindly mute. The foreign policy is a document which comprises of policies related with the protection of national interest. Every nation's foreign policy circumvents around protection of national interest. And obviously, India's foreign policy has got its own objectives, principles, and futures, and it has evolved so many hurdles, and it has got so many experiences and expectations. Indeed, if one researcher want to do research upon a foreign policy or deliberate upon India's foreign policy, certainly we should focus upon the empire building process of Ashoka, Ashoka the Great. Might be you heard about Alexander the Great from Macedonia, who has tried to build an empire around the nations of the world. Likewise, Ashoka tried to build an empire and he has succeeded. And the impact of Buddhism is also there in India's foreign policy, like Gandhism in foreign policy. And Gupta impact is also there in the foreign policy. And we scrutinize upon literatures of the nation, and it is not the country from Western region or Western hemisphere who has contributed a lot towards the policy. Uh, Certainly, it is Kautilya Arthashastra, and in between 350 it contributed, and it is known to be as the primary and foremost document related with statecraft, foreign policy, war, espionage system, and qualities of a fort, qualities of a king. and so on and so forth. And yes, it is not United States of America, it is not France, it is not Britain, it is not Russia, it is not China, it is India, and India's the famous uh, politician or political executive, we can consider that Kaudilya has contributed in this Artha Shastra related with foreign policy and how a nation to be protected and how a nation has to maintain relationship with the other nations. Although the type of the government which was advocated by Kaudilya is on the basis of monarchical form of government. Right now, in the 21st century, some 80 to 85 percentage of all the nations are following a democratic type of governance. But still, in the 21st century of the third millennium, Kaudilya's Arthashastra, it is carving its own niche for every foreign policy on the basis of pragmatic approach or realist approach. And there are two approaches in making and implementing foreign policy of different nations. One is realist approach and another one is idealist approach. And no nation in this world is having its own foreign policy on the basis of single approach. It is a combination or mixed type of idealistic and realistic approach. India in the 21st century, it is spearheading in different types of regional organization and supranational organization. And 2023, it was spearheading the major countries, 20 countries, which formed a group which is known as G20. And the supranational organization in United Nations organization also it played a greater role. And the organization which is called as Quadrilateral Security Dialogue and BRICS, the organization which comprises of Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and recently the president of United States of America, Trump, and he has posed a 25 percentage of a tariff of Indian imported goods. And it is only because of the organization, the dynamic activities of BRICS. And India also played a major role in SARC, South Asian Association of Regional Cooperation and Non-Alignment Movement. So these are all some of the illustrations in which India it has proved itself and it has played a constructive role in maintaining international peace and security. And now coming to these are all some of the major introductory part of my deliberation. India is now contributing to 12 UN peacekeeping operations in and around the world. So far, India contributed to the world peace by participating in 49 UN peacekeeping operations. And now in the 21st century, that is in the month of August 4th, 2025, India is expected as the fourth largest economy among the nations of the world. And approximately the world comprises of 193 countries and 193 and above, and 193 countries were the members of United Nations Organization General Assembly. And on accordance with Article 51 of Indian Constitution, which says that India should uh, participate enthusiastically to maintain international peace and security. And this is what mentioned stipulated in the Indian Constitution. And it is because of Jawaharlal Nehru, the first prime minister who had drafted the foreign policy of India. When we when we research upon foreign policy of India, definitely we may not sideline Jawaharlal Nehru, even any prime minister of India. And if they sit in the prime minister's chair, definitely they used to read the first draft of India's foreign policy, which was written by Jawaharlal Nehru, which is still in the table of Prime Minister office. And recently, I have read one book, Subrata Mukherjee, I think. In that book also, it was written Jawaharlal Nehru, who had drafted the foreign policy of India initially. And it is also because of Indira Gandhi. Now we have got a good neighbor, Bangladesh. The nation was liberated policy of Indira Gandhi and Lal Bahadur Shastri, who had signed in the Tashkent Agreement in Russia. Rajiv Gandhi, who played a greater role in maintaining peace in Sri Lanka. That is why he has sent his region peacekeeping operation to Sri Lanka. And the Narasimha Rao period, liberalization, privatization, and globalization policy was implemented, by which it was open to all the nations for the sake of imports and exports, and to put in a nutshell, free trade, which was maintained, initiated from the Narasimha Rao period. And it is during the period of Vajpayee, the second atomic bomb explosions, it was exploded. And it is before Vajpayee period, under the prime ministership of I.K. Gujral, Gujral doctrine was framed in order to maintain good and cordial relationship between the neighbor nations of India. And during Manmohan Singh, it is the policy of Manmohan Singh was known to be as Manmohanomics. And coming to Modi's, Prime Minister Modi's era, India spearheaded as a leader of G20 and the Quad during the crisis of Ukraine. Even the war is going on in Ukraine and Syria and Israel, Palestine, Gaza crisis, any type of world crisis, India is effectively participating in order to sustain the stipulated principle in the Indian Constitution. So this is what I just want to make it as an introductory remark. And like foreign policy of any nation in this world, India is also emphasizing for protecting the national interest. So that is the primary objective of not only our Indian Union, but it is also of any nation, be it Czech or Slovakia or New Zealand or Australia or Sri Lanka or UAE, Greece or Canada, any type of countries, the primary interest or the primary thing to be tackled over or to protect is to protect national interest of our own country. And that is what Nehru emphasized. The Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of our own country. Still now, up to 75 years, we are maintaining the concept of national integration. That is, I quote, unity in diversity. And the foreign policy, yet another objective of India's foreign policy is to maintain world peace, be it anywhere in the regions or continents of this world, be it Africa, Latin America, North America, South America, Asia, or Australia, or Arctic, any region in this world, India should be effectively participating in order to maintain the world peace, because the world peace is now being shattered on the basis of divisive tendency. The divisive tendency on the basis of religion, the divisive tendency on the basis of ethnicity, the divisive tendency on the basis of color discrimination, color exploitation, economical resources in terms of territorial area. So these are all some of the factors uh, that shatter the uh, world peace and prevent or resist military threats. So any nation, if it come across by any military threats, for example, we can say South Korea is coming across numerous threats from North Korea. Kim Dae-jung is the president, military ruler, and North Korea is also following a communist type of government. So South Korea, with the help of United States of America, it is putting all its efforts in order to resist the threats from North Korea. So for those countries, even number of African countries, they are facing all kinds of threats, including the countries in Asia, including the countries of South America or Latin America. Number of weak countries, they are facing these kind of threats. Okay, for those countries, in order to protect the weak nations or small nations and economically deprived countries, India should be supporting for the cause of the supporting those countries. So this is also considered as one of the objectives of India's foreign policy. And it is to support the initiatives of disarmament. See, so far India didn't sign comprehensive test ban treaty only because the CTBT is highly discriminatory. See, on the basis of comprehensive test ban treaty, it is giving huge support. Okay, it is bolstering the causes of Western countries or superpowers of this world. See, the CTBT, it is the treaty which protects the cause of superpowers like United States of America, Britain, Russia, China, France. They are nuclear powers also. So, on accordance with that treaty, only those power which already possess the nuclear capacities, they can test their another nuclear test and not the new powers. But India breached that, and India never signed in comprehensive test ban treaty, and it wants all the countries to sign for disarmament. So the world should be free from all kinds of arms and ammunition, including nuclear weapons. And that is another objective, peaceful neighborhood. See, any country's foreign policy, it should maintain a goodwill relationship with its own neighbors. See, India is trying to maintain cordial relationship with Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal. The recent visit to the Maldives, okay, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Myanmar. These are all some of the neighbors, and we have to. India's foreign policy is putting highly concentrating upon maintaining good relations. But there is a theory called string of pearl theory. Is that one theory? Is there. So, on accordance with that theory, China is investing billions and billions and of a package, economical package, and investing in order to develop the infrastructure of underdeveloped and developing countries in around India. So there is a rift between the suzerainty of India and China. See, the neighbors of India are hearing the voices of People's Republic of China and not India, since China is investing a lot of billions of package in the infrastructure development of these cities. And this should also be taken into consideration when we maintain a relationship uh, for peaceful neighborhood. And India should play a role to work to avoid wars. India never participated in First World, and India participated in Second World War, but on behalf of Britain. And apart from that, there is no war declared by India, except it has protected itself from other countries. The 1962 war, China has declared, and 1965 war, 1971 war, in which we liberated the country Bangladesh from the hands of Pakistan. So, but so far, for the past 75 years, we didn't voluntarily declared war against any nation, and we don't have that kind of occupational, imperialistic, or colonialistic attitude since we got affected for the past 300 to 350 years in the from the hands of Britain. And there was a huge level of exploitation, human resource exploitation, intelligence exploitation, minerals exploitation, mineral resources, sexual exploitation, and so on and so forth. So even in Oxford University, Trivandrum Member of Parliament, Sashi Tharoor, he was giving a speech in Trivandrum, sorry, in Oxford University, and he has given one statement that $43 trillion of amount in US dollars, in terms of US dollars, were exploited from India during 200 to 250 years of colonialism and imperialism. And that is what the devastating effect or precarious effect of colonialism and imperialism. The next objective, uh, which evolved in the sector of India's foreign policy, to promote harmony and cooperation between the countries. So the recent visits of Prime Minister Modi to either to Ukraine or Russia, or meeting Benjamin Netanyahu, okay, Israel's leader, and meeting Trump and other leaders of major countries. It is in order to maintain harmonious relationship with other countries and cooperation. Even the non-alignment movement, which was started by the first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, and it has averted the third world, the first world war, which happened in the year from the year 1914 to 1918, and the second world war, which happened between the 1939 to 1945, and in the aftermath, there is a San Francisco conference by which United Nations organization was established. Okay, so these wars, and there is another war which was about to happen, and that is aborted only because of the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru, Tito, and Nasser, because they started their own organization. So India, it has also put a lot of effort in order to promote harmony and cooperation between the countries that have ideological and political and other differences. And the next objective of foreign policy of India is to direct its foreign policy towards realization of equal rights. See, in India's constitution itself, in its preamble, we, the people of India, solemnly resolve to constitute India into a democratic republic, secular, socialistic, and sovereign. These are all the five principles, and liberty, equality, fraternity to be protected. So the equality, the concept of equality, it was borrowed from the draft of the French Revolution, which happened in the year 1789. So Rousseau and Voltaire, they drafted the words liberty, equality, fraternity, and that is incorporated almost in all the constitutions of the world, including United States of America and France and India also. So we are in the position to draft the policy in realizing the equal rights of all the people. And we should not sideline, they are whites, they are blacks, they are browns, they are yellowish. Likewise, we should not discriminate on the basis of color, discrimination on the basis of ethnicity, discrimination on the basis of religion. Since we got affected with all kind of discrimination and exploitation from the hands of British colonial empire. So equal rights of all the people and the nations without discrimination. And India's foreign policy, the next objective is to leverage international partnership to promote India's domestic development. See, when 1940s, the late 1940s, India was not at all developed. Now it is. This is fourth largest economy, and I think $3.2 trillion of GDP, gross domestic product. But in 1940s, the end of 1940s, we were very much underdeveloped, and our culture, our civilization is age-old civilization. We got a fantastic heritage and other sites, and world-renowned sites like Taj Mahal and other. Even in Tamil Nadu, there is a Kiridi excavation sites in which it says that Dravidian model is a 10,000 Dravidian people, community people are 10,000 years old. Likewise, we have got number of wonders. But albeit of all these things, 1940s, we don't have that much of development. So Nehru realized this, and he has made a policy that we should maintain relationship with both United States of America and Russia. You know very well, as my colleagues, my political scientist, and Russia is a communist country. United States of America is a capitalistic country. Both ideologies are different, but Nehru is a staunch supporter of socialism. And if he thought of joining with USSR, definitely he would have done it. But he didn't do that. He didn't align with either United States of America or otherwise communist USSR. And he kept himself aloof. He has got his own organization by which we have got wonderful development, economical development, industrial development, agriculture development, rocket technology, space technology, oceanography, education, and all sectors were developed. It is only because of international partnership with both America and Russia. And another objective of foreign policy, which evolved, okay, which evolved until 2025 from 1940s, advancing Indian representation and leadership on matters of global governance. See, we are fighting to get entry into United Nations Security Council, which comprises of 5 members only. America, Britain, Russia, China, France are the permanent members of Security Council. But from 19, we are the founding member of United Nations Organization. So far, 75 years, we are fighting to get permanent membership in the United Nations Organization Security Council, but we are alienated or segregated. We didn't have such kind of chance. Even China, as a communist country, it has got an opportunity to be a member of uh, Security Council as a permanent member. But we got opportunity only as a non-permanent member in the Security Council because Security Council has got 15 members, among which 5 are permanent. Even now, United States of America, before I think it is in Joe Biden's period, it has also supported the cause of a permanent membership of India in the UN Security Council and all BRICS nations, even countries from South America, they are supporting the cause of India as a permanent member. But 2023, India, it has spearheaded in G20 and Quad and other organizations. So in terms of global governance, we have got a good kind of representation and even the visits by so many prime ministers, starting from Jawaharlal Nehru to Prime Minister Modi, they have got wonderful international visits. It is not for the sake of going and impacting the country, but it is to prove that India has got a wonderful capacity, okay, capacity to prove ourselves as a global moral leader. And that is what emphasized by all the prime ministers during the international visits. And these are all some of the objectives of India's foreign policy, which were evolved and during these 75 years. Before even 1930 itself, Jawaharlal Nehru, and he wanted to have his own foreign policy for India, like constitution, foreign policy, to protect the interest of all the people like this. So it has evolved. It has evolved constructively. Even India is victorious, and India has attained the victory in India's foreign policy, in the evolution of India's foreign policy. And it is only because of the Prime Minister who has got cosmopolitan outlook. They had not confined themselves in one religion. See, if they thought of removing the word of secularism and incorporating the word of, because the neighbor country Nepal, it is once it was called as a Hindu country, and since India comprises of a majority community, major percentage of the people from one community, and the leaders might have thought of including that word. Okay, but they didn't do that. Only secularism is there. So this is a simple illustration that our leaders, our prime ministers, they got a cosmopolitan, moral and ethical outlook in order to protect the interest of all the people. That is around 145 to 150 crores of people. And coming to principles, what are the major principles of India's foreign policy and which has evolved along this period? One of the best principle of a foreign policy is none other than Panchashil principles. See, we signed with the Zhuan Lai, the People's Republic of China, Premier of People's Republic of China, Jawaharlal Nehru and Premier Zhuan Lai. They signed Panchashil principles. That is five principles. We have to mutually respect each other. That is the first principle. See, this Panchashil principle, this is applicable to all the nations of the world. Any nation, even if America wants to have a good relationship with Russia, Russia wants to have a good relationship with France, or France wants to have a cordial relationship with Canada. Canada wants to have a good relationship with Norway. Norway wanted to have a relationship with Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka wanted to have a relationship with Maldives. Okay, so essential principles are quintessential principles in order to maintain goodwill and cordial relationship with one another. Second, Panchashil principles, non-aggression. See, South Korea and North Korea, they are having aggressive attitude. Ethiopia, Eritrea, they are having aggressive attitude with one another. And Israel versus Gaza, they are having aggressive attitude. And Syria versus Israel, Israel versus Iran, and Iran versus Iran. So these are all number of occasions in which the impact of aggression was at large. It was felt by the people, by the government, by the military forces at large. So, on accordance with the Panchashil principle, there should not be any aggression at all. And third Panchashil principle is non-interference. So we scrutinize upon what I mean by interference in the sense a nation should not interfere in the domestic affairs of another country. See, United States of America, uh, it is blaming India. See, what is the status of human rights in Jammu and Kashmir? And Pakistan is also opposing India. So you have withdrawn the Article 370, which you have given it as a special status of Jammu and Kashmir. Since Jammu and Kashmir has got its own constitution, it has got its special status, and we repealed the special status, and we have withdrawn that another constitution. Now, Indian states and all even territories, they are having single constitution. And for that, we are being blamed by number of other countries. Even Punjab is asking for Khalistan. For that problem only, in Canada, there is an issue that somebody has killed his own citizen, Canada's citizen. Okay. So these are all comes under don't interfere in the internal. We should not involve in Hans community or Islam people in People's Republic China. China should not involve in the domestic affairs of America. America should not intervene or interfere in the domestic affairs of Russia. Russia should not intervene or interfere in the domestic affairs of South Korea, and South Korea, North Korea. Likewise, non-interference in the domestic affairs. Fourth Panchashil principle is equality. So a nation should maintain or consider all the people as equals. Okay, all people as equal. We should not bother about religion. We should not discriminate people on the basis of ethnicity. We should not discriminate people on the basis of color or economic dependence or economic resources on the basis of these divisive tendency. So equality should be maintained at any cost. And this is another principle which was signed by the Premier of People's Republic of China, Zhou Enlai, and the first Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru. Peaceful coexistence. See now, United States of America or Russia or China, They wanted to dominate the national and international affairs as if they are appointed as a global police. See, United States of America, be it United States of America or Vatican City or Sri Lanka or India or New Zealand or Australia or any countries in this world, in this community of nations. See, all in accordance with the Treaty of Westphalia, which was signed in 1648. Treaty of Westphalia. Every nation has got its own sovereignty, and that sovereignty should be respected, protected, promoted by all the nations. Even if a nation has got only 50 kilometers in its area, if a nation has got 1 lakh square miles of its location, its area, the large country should give respect and for the sake of mutual coexistence. It is not on the basis of ideology. It is the ideal, it is the moral, it is the principle of coexistence. This mutual coexistence, we can find it in the draft of uh, Treaty of Versailles, which happened in the aftermath of the First World War, which was ended in the year 1918. So, in the Treaty of Versailles, there is a concept of mutual coexistence, peaceful existence. All nations should exist together. All nations should promote only peace. But it is only because of Japanese breach in Manchuria and Italy's breach in Abyssinia, the entire First World War, the treaty signed, Versailles Treaty signed, the League of Nations, it has failed. But in the aftermath of the Second World War happened between 1939 to 1949, the San Francisco Conference, which established United Nations Organization in the year 1945. So throughout this year, there is no major war happened because in First World War, millions and millions of people were butchered, massacred, killed, and Second World War also millions of people were killed. But there is no World War happened, Third World War happened, and it is only because of the effective functioning of United Nations organization in which India participated in 49 UN peacekeeping operations for the sake of maintaining international peace and security. Right now, 2025, India is participating in 12 countries. And the second most important principles of India's foreign policy is non-alignment movement. So, as I said earlier in my lecture in this session, it is only because of the global leaders, Nehru, Tito, and Nasser, these three leaders, they combined together to form non-alignment movement. It is not for the purpose of maintaining hostile relations or enigmatic relationship with either America, USA, or otherwise USA. It is only for the sake of developing the third world countries, including India, countries of South America, countries of Africa. Okay, these countries combined together and they formed this non-alignment movement. But right now in the 21st century, there is no role for non-alignment movement because ideological war, the Second World War and the Cold War is called as ideological war. One war is known to be as a communist, one bloc, and another one is capitalistic bloc. Now there is no communism. There is a death of communism, and communism failed in its ideology to propagate its ideals and principles to all the countries of the world. Since almost 80 to 85 percentage of the countries are following capitalistic principles only. Once there was a Warsaw Pact, is that 1955 Warsaw Pact. The countries which are members of Warsaw Pact, now they joined the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is spearheaded by United States of America. Even Ukraine, the war which is happening in Ukraine, Ukraine wanted to join with NATO, which was strictly opposed by USSR. Russia warned, Putin warned that don't join with NATO, since if you are joining with North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and definitely Russia will be under threat from the American forces. So non-alignment movement and The emergence of non-alignment movement, the establishment of non-alignment movement, that is the sole reason for averting the Third World War. And this is the second principle which evolved, which India is following along the years of Indian history. And the third principle is anti-colonialism. India is absolutely following anti-colonialism, anti-imperialism, anti-racism. See, as I said earlier, that the 43 trillion American dollars were exploited from India's resources by Britain. We face a lot of struggles. It is because of colonialistic exploitation, imperialistic exploitation. Only those people who speak English, only those people who are educated in English, they got job opportunities, and not the other people. Those who talk in mother tongue, they were also exploited. They were subjugated by the imperialistic policies and the colonialistic policies. We are also against the anti-racism. Racial discrimination should not be there. Even in 1948, in the on accordance with the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, that the Geneva Declaration, which consists of 30 articles related with the human rights, it is opposed of racial discrimination. No person should discriminate another person or another territory or another group on the basis of race. He belongs to that race and he belongs to different race. And there should not be any exploitation by the government itself. Because so many governments, they involved in racialist policies. Okay, racialist policies including Germany involved in a genocide against one particular race. They are opposed with the Jewish community. And that is why we have evolved, we have incorporated the principle of anti-colonialism, anti-imperialism, and anti-racism. And yet another principle of foreign policy, the principle of avoiding use of force. See, we have tested atomic bomb in the 1975 Indira Gandhi period, and also in the year 1998 during Vajpayee period, we tested a second time. But we had also framed the rules and regulations that no first use (NFU). We will not utilize atomic bombs, atomic explosions against other countries. Okay, no first use. But if some country used atomic bombs or nuclear bombs against India, then definitely we will not hesitate to bombard or use the atomic bombs. And this is one of the noblest principles, avoiding use of force in settling differences with other countries, be it Bangladesh or Nepal or Sri Lanka. Even Sri Lanka in 1980s under Rajiv Gandhi's leadership, Premadasa was asking for forces, regional peacekeeping forces to send to Sri Lanka in order to protect or maintain peace in Sri Lanka. It is because of Tamils versus Sinhalese. Okay, it is not the force we have sent. We have sent only regional peacekeeping operations on par with the United Nations organization, because the United Nations organization is the only supranational organization which send the peacekeeping forces to all the nations of the world for maintaining, for protecting the interest of the weaker section or war ravaged people. So this is also one of the very effective principle, avoiding use of force when we settle differences. And fourth principle is strengthening United Nations and other global regional organizations. See, SARC, it has become a failure. SARC has become a failure because we could not maintain a cordial relationship with India and Pakistan. It has got affected. And it is also because of Chinese interference, Chinese intervention. It has spoiled the relationship between India and Pakistan. And it is only of the erosion or the spoiling of uh, the proper relationship between India and Pakistan, SARC could not perform well, or otherwise definitely it would have performed on par with the European Union. Now European Union, it has established, it has introduced a euro coin, okay, many years back. And now it has spread with all the countries and it is challenging the American dollar. Euro is performing very well. Likewise, SARC, South Asian Association of Regional Cooperation, it was established, it was formed only because of having regional integration, protecting the regional security. And who knows that definitely we would have introduced SARC coin also. There should not be any differences between the currency of nations. If that has happened, definitely we might have been the tough choice for euro and American dollars. Such a wonderful resources we have got in the South Asian countries. So it is our responsibility to strengthen the United Nations, and definitely we played a very effective and constructive role in strengthening the United Nations organization. Even one member of parliament from Trivandrum, he was Sashi Tharoor. He was working as a Under Secretary General of United Nations Organization. See, just think of it, 100 more than 190 countries are there, and why they are choosing a person from India to act as a Under Secretary General of a United Nations Organization, and also development of international law. Okay, international law for every country there is a constitution. International law is also there. But the worst thing of international law is it is being bended by the superpowers, the global powers or developed countries. They are bending the rules and the regulations accordingly on the basis of their own self-interest. If in case America is opposing Syria or Iran or Iraq, and definitely it will use accordingly the international law, misuse the international law for the sake of protecting American interest and not for the sake of people's interest. See, in Gaza crisis recently, around some 10 to 15,000 women and children were dead. And recently, some hundreds of children were starving for food, and it is for they could not get even single square of meals for food. And who is what is the responsibility of United Nations organization, and what is the power of United States of America, and what is the role of Britain, what is the role of Germany, and what is the role of France? All the countries, they are the members of United Nations Organization Security Council, but they could not just provide food supplies in the Gaza crisis, but we did it. India is supporting all kinds of these kind of humanitarian assistance to all the countries, and that is also one of the added principle and international law to be strengthened as useful tools for international harmony and cooperation. And in short, this is a lost principle of foreign policy of India, which has evolved for the past 75 years. And through foreign policy, India wants to be seen as a peace-loving country. And definitely, as a person with limited learning in the Department of Political Science, I can daringly I can say that India is a peace-loving country only. See, India as a country, it has freed one country. Bangladesh is now, it is free, it is liberated. It is only because of India. And no country in the underdeveloping or underdeveloped countries, it tried its best efforts to liberate a country from another country. See, the role of United States of America, Russia, China, France, Germany, those kind of superpower role India did, and it is only because of Indira Gandhi's leadership a nation was born. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and now Sheikh Hasina Wajid, the Bangladesh. So India is a peace-loving country. It is a mature country, law-abiding. Law-abiding in the sense it should establish, it should maintain its constitutional principles, and not only its constitution, but also the international law should be protected. It should be respected, and India should be a trustworthy country while trying to benefit from friendly contacts with other countries in the society, in the community of nations. So, in its foreign policy, India emphasized that it should maintain a cordial and goodwill relationship with all the nations of the world. We are not alienating, we are not segregating, any nation because it is a socialistic nation, it is a communist nation, it is a fascist nation, it is a Nazist nation, it is an autocratic nation, it is a totalitarian nation, and the African state is not giving freedom to the people. We are not bothering about. We are not intervening in the domestic affairs of a particular country. We are treating all the country in an equal manner and mode. So this is about objective and principles of foreign policy. So when we look upon uh, Nehru's impact of a foreign policy, the newly sovereign nation faced the challenge of defining its place on the global stage. Nehru identified, the first prime minister identified that how India should be imagined by other countries, how America should perceive India, how Russia should perceive India. So for that purpose only, because Nehru wanted to make India as a global power. Okay, because India is having all kind of uniqueness and it is having all kind of capacity, domestic capacity, in terms of a resource capacity, in terms of intellectual capacity, almost all the things are having. That is why India, Nehru wanted to make India as a superpower. So he has crafted a foreign policy that sought to balance its aspiration as a newly independent state the realities of bipolar world dominated by US and Soviet Union, USSR, Union Soviet Socialist and Republic. Can I take another 5 minutes so that another 10 minutes we can have interaction? Krishna sir, can I take another 5 minutes so that another 10 minutes we can have an interaction?
Yes,
Any
sir. Yes.
questions? Krishna Hobel sir?
Sir, you please continue, sir.
Okay, okay.
You please
Okay,
continue.
thanks.
Yes.
So that's it. I can, I'm because I thought that some people come for interaction and so that we can give a clarity. No
Okay,
problem,
okay,
sir.
sir. We'll have
So
interaction as well. No problem.
definitely. So
Yes.
balance as an aspirations as a newly independent state with the realities of bipolar. See, now the world, I should give a clarification related with the bipolar world. Since up to First World War, that is 1914 to 1918, the world order is Eurocentric. And even up to the Second World War, we can say that the world order is Eurocentric. From 1945 to 1991, that is a disintegration of the Soviet Union. This period is called as Cold War period. Cold War between America on one side and USSR on the other side. From 1991 to 2001, which is called the year which is waging war against terrorism. Okay, and that period is known to be as unipolar. From 2008, that is the period in which a global financial crisis it has attacked all the nations of the world, in which United States of America, 13 banks went bankrupt and it was closed. Okay, so now the world in the 21st century is multipolar. It was not as such in the 1940s. So Nehru took a decision that we should fulfill the aspirations of both these countries. Americans' interests should be protected, and Russia's development-related project should also be utilized by India. Okay, Nehru has got his own mind only one concept, that is developed India. India should be a developed country. So he took a strategic decision and strategic autonomy. That is yet another important principle which we follow. In the recent meeting, Jaishankar, the foreign minister of India, strategic autonomy is one of the best principle which we follow when we maintain relationship with Russia. Because America is warning India that don't import crude oil from Russia. But we didn't abide by the words of US presidency, and we are importing crude oil from Russia because America is chiding against Russia that by getting money from India, it is misusing the money and killing the people in Ukraine. But we are not bothering about those things because it is happening at the international level. Ukraine crisis, everything. It is uh, that is the problem. That is the bone of contention between America and Russia. It is not our problem. That is why we are often emphasizing the principle that strategic autonomy is our own unique principle and philosophy. So during this bipolar world dominated, we protected the interest of these two countries. And India chose the path of a non-alignment, a principle that allowed it to assert its sovereignty and maintain autonomy in international affairs. Okay, so one side it has protected its sovereignty, and another side it maintained autonomy in international affairs, while also advocating for the rights and aspirations of newly decolonized nations across Asia and Africa. And the first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, he has convinced so many leaders of Asia, Africa, and Latin America. See, when we scrutinize upon the nations of the world, when we scrutinize who are all the nations which got affected by ethnic clashes, religious clashes, economical interdependence, it is only the countries from Asia, Africa, and Latin America. These countries were worstly affected. So Nehru, the first prime minister, he convinced the leaders of these countries of three continents that we should maintain one movement and we should maintain our own aloof, that is not aloof, but one separate alliances. Okay, separate alliances, and we should not maintain the enemic relationship with them. So over the decades, India's foreign policy evolved responding to regional challenges, global shifts, and domestic priorities. See, when a foreign policy is framed, it should not only take into consideration about the ongoing affairs. See, if India under Prime Minister Modi is framing the foreign policy, because during Nehru's period, Indira Gandhi's period, it is look east policy. Now under Modi, Prime Minister Modi's regime, it is known as Act East policy. So there is a changes not only on the basis of world affairs. See, there is a problem in Syria, there is a problem in Israel, there is a problem in Russia, there is a problem in Ukraine, there is a problem in Afghanistan, there is a problem in all the African countries. But we should take into consideration the problems and the skirmishes at the international level. But we should also give priority and consideration upon the interest of our own people. See, in Arunachal Pradesh, still China is claiming Arunachal Pradesh. When President of India is traveling to Arunachal Pradesh, and the Chinese spokesperson, press persons, they are opposing. Don't go to Arunachal Pradesh because Arunachal Pradesh belongs to People's Republic of China. Sikkim belongs to Galwan Valley, belongs to People's Republic of China. And Aksai Chin from Jammu and Kashmir, that also belongs to People's Republic of China. These problems, everything, they all started from the period of Zhou Enlai and Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong, who is the father of cultural revolution, which happened in the year 1949. So, when we look upon the affairs of the People's Republic of China or Pakistan, we should also give importance for the people of Jammu and Kashmir, people of Arunachal Pradesh, people of Assam, and the people of Meghalaya, Nagaland, Northeast people we should take into consideration. Okay, so domestic priorities should also be given a great concern, and that is what the policy which is framed by Jawaharlal Nehru. It has shifted. See, almost all the Congress prime ministers they followed the principles and objectives of India's foreign policy on accordance of Jawaharlal Nehru. Even under the present regime also, they have got tilted some changes, but not absolute change or holistic change. Everything we are following from the end of 1940s. So the war with Pakistan and China in 1960s. 1965, there is a war between India and Pakistan. 1962, we got a war with the People's Republic of China, and we lost many territories. Okay, and 1970s we tested uh, atomic, nuclear, India's strategic capabilities and underscored the need for a more robust defense policy. because of 1962 war we faced, and even Jawaharlal Nehru, the first prime minister, he was when he was interviewed by a spokesperson, he was telling that Zhuenlai backstabbed him. It is only because of 1962 war and Chinese has amalgamated all the almost much high level percentage of territories, and Nehru was uh, he was affected with a sudden damage. And these are all some of the events, world level events in which India has participated, and it has climbed for more robust defense policy. The economic liberalization in the 1990s under the prime ministership of Narasimha Rao. Economic liberalization of the 1990s marked a turning point. Okay, it is just a turning point because India opened all its gates for free trade. It has imported a lot and it has exported a lot, and that is a wonderful and innovative policy which is also included, incorporated in India's foreign policy. We are open for we are open for open marketing. We are open for the free marketing. We are for liberalization. And number of countries they confined themselves as a isolated economy. And this is also being expressed in the Ministry of External Affairs, the annual report. So it has opened, India opened its doors to the world, seeking to integrate more deeply into the global economy and redefine its role on the world stage. Because India, by the by just opening the gates of liberalization, globalization, privatization, it has proved itself that India is open for all. And from the idealistic non-alignment in the early years to the pragmatic multi-alignment. Now, 21st century, 2025, it is known as multi-alignment. In case if we want to have a good relationship with the African Union, we can have it because G20 and the last country which joined was African Union. That organization also joined in G20. So once it was non-alignment in 1940s and 1950s, but now in the 21st century, it is called multi-alignment. Any nation can come together, any nation can maintain a good relationship with other country. And the evolution of India's foreign policy since 1947 is significant to study as India celebrates its 78th independence. This reflection on India's diplomatic journey underscores the nation's growth from a post-colonial state in the key global player. Actually, our topic is highly concerned with the post-colonial era, India in the post-colonial era, but India as a global player. Nehru, he carved a niche for India's foreign policy as a global player, and that is what I just wanted to emphasize in this topic. And the foreign policy also highlights the strategic shifts, landmark decisions, and evolving global relationships that have shaped India's current international structure. India is respected by G7 group, and India is invited for SCO organization. India is invited for AIIB, and BRICS is there, BIMSTEC is there, and many regional organizations are inviting India because India has proved itself as economically, even recently, for the sum of 30,000 crores, India has exported arms and ammunition to different countries. See, 1940s, we don't have any arms and ammunition in the stockpile, only limited. But 2025, we are exporting to other countries worth of 30,000 crores of defense equipments, arms, and ammunition in the sense. You just think of India's superpower status. The Abdul Kalam, the former president of India, he thought of India should be a superpower in 2020, but that has not happened. And very soon we can expect Abdul Kalam's expectations and the dreams and the aspirations will come true very soon, and we are waiting for that occasion. Thank you for this opportunity to share some of my own views to all the political scientists at Karnataka, Mysore University. And I thank all the authorities of Mysore University for giving this opportunity. And I also thank all the professors of political science My humble and special thanks goes to Krishna Humble for the opportunity provided to me. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions, clarifications? You please. Any questions related with international politics or Ukraine crisis, Syria or Iran, Iraq, Trump's second presidency, or related with the foreign policy of India?